Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending to this session about algorithmic and substance. I'm Pierre Maheut. I'm working for Allegorithmic as a market strategy director of architecture and design. Long story short, I'm taking care of what was called back in the day at Allegorithmic new markets. As you might know, we are coming from the game industry, and we are showing a lot of DNA with Unity about that. We started in the game industry, and now we open the door to new industries, and we are really happy to participate to this first Auto Summit, especially as I'm graduated from transportation design. I'm really happy to be there today. Maybe a short or very simple quiz today. How many of you knows or are using Substance today? Don't be shy. All right. So for all the people who raise their hand, they can just leave the room. No, you will see. I will present both introduction to Substance, but also I have some new exclusive content to show you. So I hope everybody will enjoy that. So for the people who are not familiar with Substance, we are the industry standard for material creation and texturing. And when we say we are industry standard, it means in the game industry, VFX industry, architecture, and design. So I have a short introduction about a couple of games that has been textured using Substance last year. So what you see here is an extract of a couple of AAA studio production that has been made and textured with Substance. You can see that it's very wide diversity of games. We have now more than 95% of the AAA game studio that are using Substance for doing their production. At the last E3, for instance, there was almost all the game using Substance, Anthems, Tomb Raider 2, and Forza Horizon 4, for instance. What is a little bit new for the people who are knowing us is those kind of visuals. So here in architecture, you will see a couple of others in industrial design and in VFX. And what is interesting here is that the Substance technology is allowing you to do very realistic materials and also really stylized materials. It's just a matter of the imagination of the 3D artists that are using it. So you can see in those artworks that the diversity is really wide. And also you can notice that for all of them, the materials and the textures are key in the visual quality that is provided. A couple of other examples here in VFX. You will see that in VFX, we are doing through the regular offline pipeline, as we are compatible with all the regular ray tracing tools, but we also are specially optimized for real-time experiences here, for instance, with the Adam demo that you might all know here. So that's the power of our materials, is the capability to be used in both pipeline, offline, and real-time. And you see more and more movies. So here's an example. We also have been used on Blade Runner. And you may expect to see more and more movies that has been textured in Substance. Same thing for also advertisement you may have seen last year. So that was a quick intro about how Substance is used widely. Here it's more focusing on our references in industrial design. A couple of references. You can see many OEMs are already using Substance in their pipelines. Same thing for CGI and visualization companies and also tier 1 suppliers. We also have transportation design more generally with aviation, luxury, and tech companies, simulation, high tech, and retail, footwear, and apparel. So it's pretty wide. There is one thing that is in common for every of them is that they need virtual materials. Because what we do at Allegorithmic is what allowed you to go from the left side of this screen when you have the mesh itself, the model, that has no materials and no texture to the model on the right, when you have all the texture and materials being applied. And the way we are describing those materials and the way we are describing how they react to light is what we are doing with Substance. Another key point about what a substance is that we deliver materials that are tweakable. The former pipeline is to have a dead set of texture, and as soon as you need to modify it, change the roughness, change the color, change the aspect of it, you need to rework and to do it in Photoshop, for instance. Within our tool, you're able to have sliders and tweakability that allow you to modify it. Here on a marble, for instance, another example on a camouflage, for instance, on a show car. That's how quickly you can iterate and find what you are looking for directly within the toolset. So how we are making those kind of materials? We have both software and content. About software, we have two main pieces of software. Substance Designer, that is focusing on material creation. Substance Painter, that is focusing on 3D painting, how you apply and you paint those materials onto the objects. And Bitmap to Materials, that is a small tool that allows you to convert any kind of image into a PBR materials. So a quick tool to generate PBR materials. And then also content. So we have a dedicated team of 3D artists that are producing a PBR material library that is called Substance Source, and they are using Substance Designer to do so. So just a quick focus about each of those pieces of software. Substance Designer is node-based. You are able to generate PBR outputs out of it. Here, for instance, I have as an input a scan materials, and then I'm able to generate a normal out of it, and I can feed my PBR materials with the input of the scan. Substance Painter, you are loading your mesh, and here you are painting the materials onto the object. So you have, by default, a library of materials, and then you can enrich it with Substance Designer, creating your own materials, and also Substance Source by reaching the already existing library. B2M is very simple but quick tool to generate PBR channels out of one image. So it's a very quick tool to generate custom materials. Finally, Substance Source is web-based. We started about a year ago with 600 materials, PBR materials there, and now we have more than 1,300 PBR materials. Keep in mind that for each of them, it's a tweakable material. So each of them, you can download it and then tweak the parameters in order to match with what you are looking for. So today, I will focus on the two main aspects of Substance Designer for material creation and on Substance Source. So what about material creation? So when you are designing a car, you are spending a lot of time in the modeling and creating the mesh itself. But you also have a team of color and trim designer, CMF designer for color, material, and finish designer that are working on developing and finding the right materials for each detail of your modeling. And when you are doing so, you can really leverage the quality of your modeling and of your mesh with the right materials. So here, focusing on one materials, you can also work on the harmony itself when you are combining materials together. And for each of them, what you are looking for is also the most realistic look you can get for each of them. So how to do it is in Substance Designer through three kinds of pipeline. The first one is a full procedural one. For instance, on the speaker grid I was showing before, we were able to start from procedural noise to combine them with also a pattern in order to generate the final map. You can also base yourself on a scan of the materials. And finally, what we call the hybrid, meaning mixing both the realism of the scan, but also the flexibility of the procedural information. So how you are doing it, you have your physical samples, and then you light it with different angle conditions, and then you process this within Designer in order to generate your virtual version of it. And here is the kind of result that you can achieve doing so. So since now almost 2 years, we have enriched a lot Substance Designer with many capabilities of scan, and also things to optimize your scan. So here, for instance, we are using a color match in order to replace a color by another. That allows you to scan only one sample instead of scanning the different variation of it, and do all those variations virtually. So to sum up what can be done, on the top, a full procedural speaker grid. So you can see that the entry point is really procedural noises, and then you are able to generate PBR materials. Scan-based, when you started from inputs with the different angles, and what we call hybrid. So here, for instance, on this material, you have the leather that has been scanned, and then all the bump map and displacement and the stitches are part of the procedural information you can see here. Now about Substance Source. So you have seen how to use Substance Designer, and that's what our team is doing to produce the content I will be showing on Substance Source. So how it looks like Substance Source today, it's a web-based platform. So you just type source.allegorithmic.com, and you will arrive to this website when you have on the left the different categories. And you're able to browse it, check it out, and then download it as a SBSIR file, meaning the one that is ready to be used, for instance, in Unity. And also the SBS file, when you have all the information to rework it within Substance Designer. So how we made Substance Source grow with the time, starting from 600 to now more than 1,300, is through different drops. So we made drops with some themes. So here, for instance, was the one with Daniel Tiger, that is a game artist. So this one is more game-oriented. We also made a drop that is more architecture-oriented, textiles, and, for instance, grounds. So for the ground one, what we used as a technique was photogrammetry techniques, and we were capturing some grounds around and then process them in Substance Designer. But probably the most interesting drop for you guys would be the automotive one. So that's what I'm about to present. So we've been working for about 3 months on this drop. The idea was to produce all the materials that you are using on a really regular basis in order to help you out and to make you save a lot of time by having ready-to-go materials. So the result was a little bit more than expected. When we started the project, we had in mind about 300 materials. What we will be delivering and what we started to deliver is more than 500 materials. That's why we split it into different drops. Each of those materials are tweakables. Each material does have presets, so you can already switch between different tweaks, and we can go up to 8K texture resolution. So what you would do is just to type automotive as a keyword, and then you will get the automotive drop materials. So here's just a snapshot of some of them. 500 on one slide is just making super small. So, but here it's giving you a first idea about how wide is the range. So you have grids, steels and brakes, metal, fibers, textiles, all the LED and projectors, camouflage, 3D printing materials, of course, car paints, carbon fibers, cataphots, leather, rim, tires, wood, everything you can find in the exterior and the interior of a car. Here's the example of the carbon fiber. We have one substance file here, and we're just changing the tweaks in order to generate all those variations. So substance can be also a tool to explore new materials for the color and trim team. Other example about the presets. So here, for instance, on these specific materials, you have, by default, the preset on the left, and then the 2 additional presets on the right. Same thing for metal panels and metal sheets. That's how it's look like. Here it's an example on LED. So if you want to change the amount of them, if you want to change the number of rows, all that can be done directly by tweaking the substance. And here we are using the substance player to tweak it, but you could also tweak the same way directly within Unity, as I will be showing after. About the quality, we wanted to reach a level of quality that wasn't reached before. So here's a couple of examples on car paints, and we also did focus on some specific materials, especially on hybrid. So for instance, on leather and stitches. So everything we show here, of course, is CGI renderings. And we wanted to get the tensions of the stitches and also to see that it's coming back and forth. That's the kind of topic that we try to tackle. So what about Substance in Unity? So I have two small demos about how to use Substance together with Unity. The first one is about Substance source. So you are in Unity and you are looking for another material for the center of the steering wheel. You could, for instance, use this dot plastics. You just decide that you want to import it to your scene. You download it, get the materials, and then apply it within Unity. As soon as you have applied it in your Unity scene, you will be able to access to the different parameters that can be tweaked. So we are coming back from a native integration to a plugin integration right now. We are still in the beta of the plugin. And the idea of this integration going through plugin is to be more reactive and being able to release on a more regular basis. That's how we work together with Unity is to make that happen. The other thing is that we wanted to have to leave some limitation that we had in the past, for instance, 2K limitations. So now we are able to go to 4K, and we want to go even upper in the future. So that's why we did go through the plugin. Another example to go along with Substance Painter. So our tool Substance Painter is really loading the assets and then start to paint on it and to apply material. So here what we have is a live link between the two. So you have your scene in Unity. You just want to send it to Substance Painter. You're able to have both software working together. And here, if you want, for instance, to add an emboss of the airbag logo, what you would do is to get the graphic from the graphic team, for instance, use it as a stencil for the normal and the 8th, especially on the 8th here. You will position it onto your model, and then start to paint the emboss itself onto your object. And as we have the live link always checking out when it's updated, it will update it in Unity. So you will see that as soon as we start to paint, the Unity visualization will update. We have a low-quality version, and then it updates to the high-quality version of it. So that's how you would texture the interior, adding details, adding all the things that are putting to life your final model. It's a little bit teasing here, but here we just have released, we're in the middle of releasing the Substance Source Automotive drop. We will keep on doing a drop every week until the beginning of July. So you will see that it will grow, and you will see extra. So we already have released clay, everything for the development of the car. We just released exterior materials. We will do another exterior release drop, and then we will do 2 additional interior release with the leather and the stitches, for instance, I've been showing before. But if you need to remember one thing about this presentation, and one thing that is key, is that the mesh is very important. The lighting of your scene is very important, but the virtual materials also. So that was it for my presentation. Be aware of the session tomorrow that my colleague Vincent Go will be presenting. It will be more game-oriented, as it won't be part of the Auto Summit, but I encourage you to go there and to check it out, all the things that has been presented. There will be a deeper deep dive in the Unity plugin, for instance. And also, if you want to come over, we have a demo pod right behind Pixies and the demo we did together with Light and Shadows. Thank you very much.